I still remember the exact moment everything changed. The candles were lit, the table was full, and everyone was pretending to be happy. But then my dad said something he probably thought was harmless. And that one sentence, it destroyed my entire family. Hi, my name is Emily Carter. And what happened that Christmas night still keeps me awake sometimes. Because my parents had no idea that the words they said at dinner would push me to make a decision they could never take back. Let me explain. Christmas at our house was always complicated. From the outside, we looked perfect. Nice suburban home, family dinners, holiday traditions. But inside the house, there were cracks everywhere. My parents argued a lot, mostly about money, sometimes about me, but they always smiled in front of other people. That Christmas, my aunt, uncle, and cousins came over. Everyone was laughing, opening wine, talking about old memories, and I was trying my best to act normal because just 2 weeks earlier, I had told my parents something important, something personal, something that took me years to admit. And their reaction, well, let's just say, it wasn't what I expected. But that night, I thought maybe things were getting better. Maybe they had finally accepted it. I was wrong. Dinner started normally. Turkey on the table, mashed potatoes, my mom's famous cranberry sauce. My little cousin was telling some silly story. Everyone laughed. For a moment, it felt like a real family. Then my aunt asked the question, "So, Emily, how's life lately?" Simple question. But before I could answer, my dad leaned back in his chair, smiled, and said something that made the entire table go silent. He said, "Well, Emily's going through a little phase right now." A phase. Just one word. But it felt like someone punched me in the chest. My aunt looked confused. "What do you mean?" My mom laughed awkwardly. "Oh, young people today." And then my dad added something worse, something I will never forget. He said, "She thinks she knows who she is, but give it a few years. She'll grow out of it." The room went quiet, dead quiet. My hands froze around my fork. My heart started racing because the thing I told them 2 weeks earlier was that I was engaged. Engaged to someone they didn't approve of, someone they refused to accept. And now they were mocking it in front of the entire family, like it was a joke. My cousin looked at me. My aunt looked uncomfortable. But my parents, they just kept talking. My mom shook her head and said, "Kids these days make such dramatic choices." Dramatic. That word echoed in my head because they weren't just dismissing my relationship. They were dismissing my life. I felt my face getting hot, my chest tight, and inside my head, one thought kept repeating. Did they really just do this? Right here? Right now? In front of everyone? I looked at my dad, waiting, just waiting for him to say something like, "I'm kidding," or, "Emily, I'm proud of you." But instead, he doubled down. He laughed, then said something that made my stomach drop. "Honestly, I'm just waiting for the day she realizes she made a huge mistake." A huge mistake. The words echoed across the table, and suddenly everyone was looking at me, waiting, watching, judging. My throat felt dry, but something inside me finally snapped because they thought they were embarrassing me. They thought they were putting me back in my place. But what they didn't realize was that I had been holding something back all night, something they didn't know, something that would change everything. And when I finally stood up from that chair, the entire room froze because the next words out of my mouth were about to expose a secret my parents were definitely not ready to hear. And the moment they realized what I was about to reveal, my mom's face went completely pale. My mom's face went completely pale. The room felt smaller, quieter. Everyone was looking at me now. My dad tried to laugh it off. Emily, sit down. We're just joking. Joking? That word made something inside me snap even more. I slowly pushed my chair back. The sound echoed across the dining room. Nobody spoke. Not my aunt. Not my cousins. Even the little kids stopped eating. My heart was beating so fast, I could hear it in my ears. I looked at my parents, really looked at them, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like their daughter. I felt like a stranger sitting at their table. I took a slow breath. Dad, Mom, you think my engagement is a phase. My voice was calm, too calm. My dad rolled his eyes. Emily, don't make this dramatic. Dramatic. There was that word again. I nodded slowly. Then I said something that made the room even quieter. Okay, then maybe you should know the rest of the story. My mom shifted in her chair. Something in my voice scared her. I could see it. Emily, she whispered. Not now. But it was already too late. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and placed it on the table, right between the plates. My dad frowned. What is this supposed to be? I looked him straight in the eyes. You remember 2 weeks ago when I told you I was engaged? He sighed loudly. Yes, and we told you it was a mistake. I nodded again. But you never asked who I was engaged to. My aunt leaned forward slightly. Now she looked curious. My dad shrugged. What difference does it make? That's when I said the sentence that changed everything. It makes a huge difference because the person I'm engaged to. I paused. Everyone leaned closer. Is Daniel Thompson. For a second, nobody reacted. Then my dad's face changed. His smile disappeared because Daniel Thompson wasn't just anyone. Daniel was the CEO of the company my dad worked for, the same company my dad had been trying to get promoted in for 10 years, the same boss he complained about at every family dinner, the same man he called arrogant and impossible. My mom blinked. Wait, what? I kept my voice steady. Yes. I folded my hands together. We met 8 months ago. My dad shook his head. No, that's not possible. But I wasn't finished. And actually, I slid my phone toward him. The screen lit up. It was a photo. Me and Daniel, standing in front of a courthouse, holding documents. My dad stared at it, confused. What is this? I answered quietly. It's our marriage certificate. The table exploded with noise. What? My aunt gasped. My cousin dropped his fork. My mom covered her mouth. But my dad, he just stared at the phone, like his brain couldn't process what he was seeing. You got married? He said slowly. I nodded. 3 weeks ago. Silence. Heavy silence. Then I said the part that hurt the most. I wanted to tell you properly. My voice cracked a little, but you never gave me the chance. My mom's eyes filled with tears. Emily, why didn't you tell us? I laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. I tried. I looked around the table, at all the shocked faces. At dinner tonight, I was actually planning to announce it. My dad looked up, suddenly nervous. What do you mean? I pointed to the small gift box sitting next to my plate, the one nobody noticed earlier. That was for you. My mom slowly opened the box. Inside were 2 envelopes, plain tickets. My aunt leaned over. Where are they for? I answered quietly. Hawaii. My mom looked confused. I continued. Daniel wanted to take the whole family on vacation. Now, my dad looked completely frozen. I added the final truth. He said he wanted to meet the parents of the woman he married. The room went silent again, because suddenly everything made sense. The jokes, the insults, the phase. My dad had just mocked his own boss. My phone buzzed on the table. A message from Daniel. My dad saw the name. His face turned pale. I read the message silently, then looked back at my parents. My dad swallowed. What did he say? I locked the phone screen, took a deep breath, and said the sentence that ended the night. He said he hopes dinner with my parents went well. I paused, looking straight at my dad, because he was planning to announce some big changes at the company next week. My dad's chair creaked as he slowly leaned back. His face had completely drained of color, because in that moment, he realized something. The worst mistake my parents made that Christmas wasn't embarrassing me at dinner. It was insulting the one person who now controlled his entire future. And the most shocking part, Daniel still didn't know what they had just said about him tonight. But the question that kept running through my mind was, should I tell him? Because if I did, my dad might lose more than just his promotion. He might lose everything.